Good morning again. I'm Chris Rodenheiser, lead pastor here at Image Church, and I get the privilege today to sit with Ken and Elena Schoenemeyer. And once again, it's great to be in this interview situation. I think this helps. And you've been married for how many years?
We were married in 1983, so that's, what, 27?
Going on 28.
Yes.
28, going on 28 years of marriage. That's something. And in that time, you've raised a few kids.
4 to be exact. Yeah.
4 kids. Yeah, what are their names?
Well, the oldest is Kenny, and he's 23, and then there's Jonathan at 21, and Christina, who's almost 19, and Michael, who's...
Yes, it's too. What's been the greatest joy in your parenting years?
Do you want to go first?
Well, I guess for me, the greatest joy obviously is the fact that the Lord has given us these children as a gift. And so I think my greatest joy is having the opportunity to homeschool our kids and being able to wake up every day of their childhood to interact with them and just teach them the Word and teach them academically. And I guess I would say that's my greatest joy.
Wow. You want to add to that, Ken?
Sure. I guess I pretty much the same thing, not their accomplishments or what they've done or what other people think of them, but that they love Jesus.
Wow.
And that we've been able to work with them one-on-one in their lives as they've been little tots all the way up now to adulthood, talking about the Lord.
Yeah. How have you gone about that? How have you taught your kids about Jesus? How have you accomplished that? Like practical ways that you do that so that your kids know who Jesus is?
It began very early, even before they could walk. You know, we would have songs on about Jesus, and teach them little songs as they got a little bit older. We would read to them every night. As you know, we homeschooled, so there was always an opportunity and time for teaching. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 7 says, "And whatever you do, and in the ways that you go, teach your children about the Lord."
Right.
Yeah, so that's the thing about, I think, raising kids or discipling anyone is the relationship that you have with that person. That relationship can only be established with communication and heart-to-heart interaction.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't believe that homeschooling is for everybody, obviously, but we, very early on, we were exposed to it by some real godly people that we admired, and the Lord just constantly convicted us about doing that, and we felt called to homeschool our kids.
Right. How have you handled discipline in your home? Of course, we know a child that's not disciplined is a child that really no one desires to be around.
Right.
So how have you handled discipline?
I'll go first, I guess.
Okay.
Well, we know that the Lord says in Hebrews that whom He loves, He disciplines. And He has set the example that we should, when we discipline, that's a training method. It's not something that we don't consider it. I mean, punishment, of course, is what you think about when you think about discipline, but I think it's more accurately represented as training. You train up the child as he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. And that's what we try to do. We try to strengthen the areas that are weak in their lives so that they can, eventually we're preparing our children to be adults, and we're trying to equip them in all aspects to be able to walk on their own. So we strengthen those weak areas so that they can stand firm later on.
Right, right.
And there were certain areas that we were really, I guess we focused in on, and that is when there was disobedience or when there was dishonesty. You know, if they didn't treat others correctly, what were some of the other ones that we...
Well, we disciplined when they were young, when they're like in the 3 to 6 year old stage.
Right.
It was basically, we disciplined, and they knew this, disobedience, disrespect, dishonesty,
throwing fits,
and hurting people. One of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were doing is that we were not disciplined in anger, but we were disciplined consistently, and that they knew, because they will test us, you know, in a public situation. I think maybe I can push the limits a little more. But what we would do is we would make sure that they understood that when we're outside of that public environment, we're going to remind them of these situations as soon as possible and make correction.
Right. I've heard something once, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's biblical, but we are not our kids' friends as they grow up, so that later on in years we will be friends.
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
That's
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
right.
kind of the stage I believe we're headed into, and
right.
they are our friends.
Yeah.
Enjoy relationships.
I think that's another thing that we have to recognize is that part of the raising up of our children is choosing and selecting whom they will have relationships with.
Right.
Bringing them into those types of environments that will reinforce biblical values, the things that we are trying to instill at them.
Oh, that's so important. Yeah. Yeah. One last question. You up for it?
I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Try.
This is the big one. Okay.
Okay.
What is one piece of advice you would give to those thinking about having kids, or to new parents, those who've just had kids? One piece of advice. And then this is it. Again, the landing gear is coming out.
Do it.
Yeah,
I guess.
be consistent.
Yeah, be consistent.
Don't you wear out sometimes. It's difficult dealing with the everyday and when you're really tired. But just trying to be consistent and to work together. You have to work together as a couple, because when you're divided, then they conquer.
Yeah, they do.
I see this exist in your life. I mean, I see it. Other people see it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody says, would you say the best thing you could do for your kids is love Jesus, then love one another first?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
Definitely. It's all, I mean, it all comes from the Lord. I mean, it stems from our relationship with Him, and then instilling in them so that they can own it someday and love the Lord and grow and mature in faith.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
You know, the greatest gift my parents gave us was, of course, their passion for Jesus, but then that they always loved each other, even before they loved us.
Yeah.
That made me secure, and so when I see that in your lives, and this really helps our church body. And I want to say to you, the church body, Ken and Elena lead one of our pods, our points of discipleship in their home, and they have raised 4 great kids, and they love Jesus, and they love Jesus' people. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.